morning. It's Susie here, and we're going to be doing dog and plank today. So a note that if you've got wrist, elbow, or shoulder issues, or you cannot raise your arm over your head like so, without these ribs flaring or without bracing, I don't recommend the practice because I simply can't provide you modifications without seeing you. So a couple things you're going to need, actually a few things you're going to need. You're going to need 2 massage balls or tennis balls. You're going to need either 2 blocks like this or like this, and a roller and a strap. Okay, so here we're going to go. We're going to start in tabletop, and then we're going to move pretty much right away into plank. So let's get going. All right, so let's begin. So we're here in tabletop. And I want you just to feel the palm of your hand on the floor. And we're just going to come into a slight cat, or cow, I guess, and then into a cow. So as you move here, I just want you to connect into your breathing. Yeah, just settle into how you're inhaling and how you are exhaling. And how your body is moving. Now, it may be over this period of time that your body is changing either in a positive way or in a way that's more crampy and tight. So this is a great opportunity for you just to feel what's there. Because remember, you can't change anything that you're not aware of, right? So you're noticing that things aren't as prime as you want them to be is really, really good. So watch your thinking about it, and it's actually great to even notice you're thinking about it, because that's going to impact how we feel. So really, if you're not feeling great, and you know that you're not maybe moving as much as you can, and you're upset with yourself about it, just show yourself a little love and just say, hey, we're here, we're on the mat, we're doing our thing. What's happening? What's going on? Of all the times in the world, really, self-love is so important right now. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take our feet under, and we're going to slowly come back down onto our heels. Okay, now, if doing that is tough, we can always do this. Because you want to make sure you're on the forefoot here, right, that you're not on your toes. Okay, so you're going to come back up, maybe. And watch the articulating joints here. I'm in my knees and my hips and my shoulders. Those are the articulating joints. Yeah. Okay, so let's take this away now. And we're here. Whoops, let me take that away. All right, and now we're going to lift the knees up like so. Good. And then down. Now watch my back. What's not happening is this. And I'm also not bracing first before I lift. So it's when I lift, my knees start to come off the floor and I just lift. So I'm going from 6 points to 4 points. So the load needs to be taken and absorbed between those points. So just be aware of where the load is being taken and then come off. Okay, now from here, we're going to, let me just move this over my head. We're going to move from here, and we're going to take 1 foot back, come a bit further forward. 1 foot back, and then the other foot back. Okay, good. Now let's play with that again. So notice your torso. See if you can keep your torso totally the same. So maybe I'll do this so you can see it more clearly. So I'm here, and I bring 1. See how my torso is staying exactly the same? And I'm not bracing. I'm not like to make that happen. I'm just keeping myself as I am in this position. I'm not doing that. I'm just in neutral. And then I take myself from 4 points to 3 points, back to 4, but it's my foot now. And then I gently take the foot off and I lift. Okay, good. Now from here, we're going to look into something like downward dog. Like, I know this is not going to be exactly your downward dog. We're just going to go from plank to dog. And what I want you to think about in your body is your articulating joints are hips and shoulders and ankles. But primarily hips and shoulders. So this is likely going to be a longer dog for you than normal. This is not about doing dog. This is about doing plank to dog. Something that looks like dog. And just think about the tempo between your hips and your shoulders, and see if you can, if you're looking at a camera, see if you can see your arch, your back starting to arch or round, which is likely either a coordination issue that you're just not aware of, or you don't quite have the movement in your shoulders and your hips, which is all good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come here. You can either use a block like this, or you can use 2 blocks like this. It's totally up to you. We're going to take our hands. We're going to do 3 hand positions. So we're going to start with our index fingers touching our thumbs, and our fingers are going to be as close together as you can. You're just going to place them here on here so it looks like this. Okay? And then watch what's happening to my wrist. My wrist is going to move. Now what's not happening is I'm not bringing all my fingers off like this. I'm here. I'm keeping these guys on the block and I'm up. So if you're doing it on this block, same idea. You're just doing this. Okay? But you're keeping these fingers right at these knuckles, you're keeping that on. Now watch as that might happen. Yeah? And so if that happens through the shoulder, then you're no longer moving from here. Okay? So you're here, and we're doing this. Okay? And then you're going to take your fingers like this. Slide those fingers onto the block. Do the same thing. Super fun. But it might be a little bit challenging for you. Good? And then here. And then up you go. Just playing around with the movement of our hands, making sure that we're not compensating elsewhere. Easy, easy, easy. And then here. I've now got my pinky finger attaching to my thumb. Okay, now come back to your tabletop. Okay, and then come back into plank. And notice if there's any difference. Okay, dog. All right, lovely. Now, we're going to take these massage balls. We're going to take the massage balls. This might be a little bit challenging for some of you because it's going to be a little bit owie. And so come off of it if it's too owie. Okay, we're going to also use a strap. So I'm going to come close to the camera here. You're going to place these guys right on either side of your spine. So they'll be here like so. Now watch what's going to happen here. I'm going to come over the balls like this. Okay? Now some of you won't have that range, or you're going to want to put those ribs forward like that. I want you to really think about not holding the ribs down, but I want you to think about this is becoming a back bend over, that it's not this with my head. So if you're finding that that's an issue, because I can't see you, I'm just going to give you a really simple, just take your head here, your block here, or a blanket there, okay? But know that if that's what you're having to do, if you're here and you can't move unless you break here or here, that's a pretty good indication that there's something up through your rib cage or your T-spine, which could use a little bit of work. Okay, so just it's just to be aware of that. Okay, so where these are, either side of my spine, right above my bra strap, about T7, T8, right about here. Okay, now my arms are here. I'm raising them and lowering them. Raising them and lowering them. The articulating joint here is right through my shoulder, and my elbow is staying the same. Okay? And then you're going to miss this a little bit, but we're going to take the arms over your head. And then you're going to come back. Keep the movement through your shoulder joints. Good. Okay, now from here, you're going to roll up a little bit. Do the same thing. Arms up. And watch if you are doing that, right? So I don't want you to hold the blades down. I do want you just to move in this range, though. Okay, and then arms come over. And you come back up. Now this might be a little bit tricky. Right? It might feel a bit icky. And you roll, so see how the balls are coming up here now? Okay, and you're up. And over your head. Yeah, get up. Good. Okay, and one more. Good. And one more. Okay. And then come on off. All right. So you're going to gently come off. Good. And let's come back into the position. So back into here. Explore your cat and cow. Okay. Explore your plank. Notice what that feels like. And then up you go. See how that articulation between the primary movers of the shoulders and the hips. And notice what's going on with the ribs. You might be moving a little bit better through those larger joints. Yeah? Okay, so now we're going to take this, find the muscles in and around the blade of your shoulder, and we're going to come over onto the floor. Now this might be a little bit too much here, so you can do this on the wall. Okay? Exact same thing. But you're just going to find some of those points that are a little bit triggery or tendery. Yeah, and just find them. Go slow. Be easy. Now remember, the way that I use these massage balls is not so much to release something, although that's often what we get from them. It's more about gaining the awareness. Because what I don't want you to do, or me to do, is to so what I don't want to have happen is that you're just coming back to having to use the ball to release, right? Which is fine. You can do that. It's one way of doing it. I'd rather you improve your function though, like overall, and that can happen no matter your age. Okay, now come back from that. Let's come onto our hands and knees. Okay, just feel that now, what that is like. Feeling the hands on the ground, cat and cow. So cow and cat. Okay, and then take the toes under and lift the knees. Notice what that feels like. And then take one foot back, the other foot back. Notice what that's like. And then come up into that position. Okay, good. All right, now let's play around with the roller. So now the roller is going to come forward like so. So what I'm doing here is I'm on my butt and my heels, and I'm reaching that roller out, right? So I'm coming out this way, like this, and then keeping my bum this direction, so I'm not going to lift it up like this as I go. I'm not doing that. I'm keeping this steady, and I'm rolling out here. Then I'm going to start to move this arm. So if my point this way is 12 o'clock, I'm now going to move to 1 o'clock. So here, now I'm getting in through a side angle or a side bend, like this. Good. And just breathe easily into that side bend. Nice. Okay, and then let's go the other side. You know, one of my students, she's a private one-to-one student, she was practicing these practices. And I actually had 2 people say this to me yesterday about how it's great that what I'm teaching is not about getting a stretch, but it's about moving better. And as a result, both of them were telling me about how much better they were feeling, and even challenged to feel, because what I'm doing is asking you to become aware, which is really what, in my mind, it's all about. The stretch is interesting, but it doesn't tell you much. Okay, let's come back. Here we are, into our tabletop and our cow and our cat. Good, and then take those toes under and then lift the knees. Notice what that's happening in your body now. Good, and then take one foot back, the other foot back, and then up into a doggish place. Okay, so now we're going to come here. We're going to take the fingers and point them forward. Okay, and then we're going to rotate our here, like so. Watch, this is the articulating joint, right? So watch, because it's easy to make this movement from down here and hyperextend at the elbow. I want you to do this movement, so almost like do this. So the hand is moving because you've just moved through your shoulder joint. Now, if you are unable to do that, if you notice that your shoulder joint isn't rotating, that's interesting information, isn't it? Okay, and then keep going. We're not hyperextending these elbows though, so only go as far as you're not doing. See this? I can do this through my elbow and then not move very much up here. So the focus is moving, like the hand is moving as a result of the shoulder. So those of you who've practiced yoga for a while, you'll get why there's a lot of elbow and wrist issues. It's easy to bypass that shoulder. Okay, good. Just kind of play around. No elbow, no wrist, no shoulder issues while you're doing this. Okay, now what we're going to do is this. We're going to take our hands this way. Okay, and we're going to take our hands this way. Okay, now this might be a lot coming up through here, so if you need to bend your elbows, bend your elbows. That's just letting you know where you're holding some tension. Okay, and then you can always come here to fists, and then watch what's going to happen. We're going to do this, and then we're going to come up. We're going to do this, and then we're going to come up. Do this. So ideally, the elbows are not doing this. We're not moving it through the elbows. We're moving it through the wrists. Good. All right, come back to here. Okay, toes come under, lift the knees. 1 foot back. Coming up. Notice what's going on between your hips and your shoulders now. So what's kind of interesting, we're going to bring our blocks back. What's kind of interesting is that there's a chain relationship. There can be like tightness or tension or that kind of experience in your T-spine, limitation in your T-spine. And then you can have a relatively weaker upper arm and then a relatively limited forearm. So that feeling of tightness and tension in the forearm. So it's like a bit of a sandwich. Limitation in the T-spine, weakness, relative weakness in the upper arm, relative tightness or tension or limitation in your forearm. And you may have felt that just a bit ago where your forearm holds a lot. So just pay attention to that. It becomes interesting. Okay, so now what we're going to do, this is a bit more strength work, okay? Now, I'm going to use these 2 blocks. And it's because I think it's my kids took this other block and I can't find it. So I'm using this and this. But ideally, I'd want to use 2 of these. But if you don't have 2 of those, and you say have a few of these, and we can do that. So what we're going to do is this. Let me show it to you first, and then I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to show it to you first, and then I'll give you a bit of a modification if you're finding it too much. Actually, I'm going to do it this way first. So we're going to do this motion. See my wrist to my elbow. We're doing that. Okay, but the block is going to be here and here. So that I've got a wall to place on my forearms. So that then what I'm doing is I'm coming down and up, right? But I'm not knocking the block over as I go, right? So I have to keep this all in my arms. So watch the angle, right? See that? Okay, so if you're finding that it's too much, right, then you can just kind of be here and then just kind of go whoop, like that. Whoop. Okay, so find a couple of blocks, grab your bolster if you need one, or a pillow, and let's just do a few of these. Perfect. Okay, now bring those back. We'll come back to the bolster in a moment. We'll be here, cat and cow. See how that feels now through your arms. And then lift your knees. And then take your feet back. And come into your dog fish. Notice what that feels like now. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to play with this a bit more, but in a different orientation. So I'm going to place a block like this down. It doesn't have to be this block. It could be the other blocks. You might not even need a block at all. And we're going to come from cat and cow, and we're going to come down this way, like this. So you'll see what's articulating here. We can do it this way, or we can do it this way. You kind of feel it in your groove. Now, you can also take those blocks away and do that without the blocks. So that's just the elbows and the hips that are articulating. You can also do it back this way. It's a totally different experience, right? But just notice you're not doing it through your ribs to pelvis. You're doing it through your elbows and your hips. Okay, now if you need extra, this is a bit of a thick one, thick bolster, but you can just do this. Right? Or just make sure when you're coming back that you're not really bypassing the motion of this, which is the elbows. Okay, now keep the bolster handy. I think you know where we're about to go, right? I'm going to have these guys handy. We're starting just to do a test here. And the test is coming back into cow and cat. Getting to feel what that's like between the torso. Taking the knees up. Taking one foot back and coming out into plank. And then up into that doggish place. Okay, so we're just getting a feel of what that's like. Now, this is where the fun begins. Ready? We drop those elbows to the floor. Right? But we're not doing it through your ribs like this. We drop them to the floor. Now, you might want to have the floor come up a little bit. So then, you might be here. Right? Or you might be here. Right, so I'm bringing the floor way up, but it enables me not to do it through here, right? And it gives a little bit more stability through that shoulder girdle. Okay, so you determine which one is the best one for you, right? And be like, there's no point in doing the thing that is making you move in crazy compensations when if you can just make the movement smaller, you'll actually get better faster, right? You'll get the strength faster. So I'm going to come here without it. You do what you need to do. We'll just do a few more. Yeah. Good? Okay. Now, from here, come back into your tabletop, and let's just get a feel what your plank is like now, and what your dog is like now. Good? So the idea here was really to help you start to feel a little bit more into your arm and how your arm connects, and maybe you notice some compensatory patterning through your ribs to your pelvis or some other things that you might do. And you can start to play with and explore those movement patterns, because the thing about gaining strength is that strength is actually really easy. It's the coordinated patterns that are tricky to get sorted out, because you don't want to build strength on top of a poor foundation, right? But a lot of times we're not aware of what the poor foundation is. So that's what I'm hoping to provide with you in these sessions I'm doing here in the morning. So let's wind this down a little bit. Let's bring this arm across and start to bring our arm into rotation here. Good, and then over here. Now, as you're practicing, if you want to dig in with me and do some private one-to-ones, I have one spot available right now. And they're 3 months. We work together quite in a quite an intimate way, online of course. But it's really designed for people who've got some issues and are wanting to resolve them, right? And so we do this through a lot of this awareness type of work so that you become more aware and then stronger. So you'll see I've got a strap here. And you reduce whatever it is that you're experiencing. Pain, strain, tiredness. But I'm getting flooded with interest right now from people who have the time and have the ability. And so if that's someone like you, then just reach out to us and we can set something up to have a chat. Okay, good. And then bring it over. Nice things about private sessions is the session's all about you. Only you. Okay, perfect. Now you can move onto the floor. We're going to finish up now. So you can move onto the floor or come into sitting. We're going to come into either a Shavasana or into a sitting position. Just finish up with a quiet sitting. And don't run away yet. You might have to get the kids or something, but see if you can just stick with me for 3 more minutes before you shift off to the rest of your day. Or if your kids are running around, maybe have them join you. That's not an insane idea. And just be here for just a little breath of quiet, of stillness. Don't run away. And I'll just remind you to come back to your breath a few times. So settling in, whether you're on your back or in sitting, spine's vertical if you're sitting, and you're comfortable. So for a moment, just notice if you need anything else to remain comfortable or to make yourself more comfortable. Coming back to your breath. Coming back to your breathing. Okay, one more time, coming back to your breath. bring your hands together. And breathe in with ease. And out with gratitude. Namaste. Have a great, great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.